Internet reviewers, the scourge of the internet. I know, I happen to be one. Only there can you expect a true and honest appraisal, albeit in very comic form on the most part, of a product. From films, games, wrestling and even soft drinks, they're everywhere. Some better known than others. Hey, I'm trying here, throw me a bone. Are they ego-driven maniacs or simply very successful geeks doing something they enjoy? When do we cross the line from hobby to full-time job? Well, if you're James Rolfe, famous for his portrayal of the angry video game nerd, you make a movie. And not just any movie, but something big, something epic, something seen by millions? Okay, maybe thousands on the big screen. And good or bad, James pulled it off. Yeah, Doug Walker did it with the Nostalgia Critic 4 times before, even killed himself off, and came back in some great plot hole device by saving the universe. But no one did it bigger than James Rolfe. Well, there is Linkara, but we'll have to see very soon how that pulls off, and I have very little fear that he will come up with something just as epic, and maybe even impressive, as his ability to write great plot lines that walk hand in hand with his comic reviews is second to none. I wish him well and all the luck in the world, as well as my support. But for now, we have the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, which for any internet reviewer is a hot potato, and a heck of a risk for me. So, did I love it or hate it? Well, there's only one way to find out. Time to throw myself to the lions and see if they eat me or accept me into the herd. Pray for my soul. I may need it. Well, my show would be better with a rock soundtrack like that. Sorry. So, does the Angry Video Game Nerd need any introduction? Well, not to some of you out there, but I tend to deal with the uninitiated, and once again, I go into some retrospective of a series or movie before I review, so why should AGVN be any different? He's loud, he's crass, he's direct, he's, well, colourful, and he's funny. I wouldn't say he's recommended for children, but if you think the language on my show can be crass, the Angry Video Game Nerd spares no such profanity with his opinion on the games we love to hate. And the Battle Jesus is certainly not content for the easily offended. Heck, South Park isn't either, but that's funny too. Or at least it was up until Season 8. The Angry Video Game Nerd, as I said before, is the brainchild of James Rolfe, who created Board James and rose to fame pretty quickly with his original approach to video reviewing, adding glitter, panache, funny storylines and a flair to his presentation. Reviewing retro games we used to play, from the Commodore 64 games to old Nintendo cartridges. And not just any games. Deliberately picking out the worst that the 80s had to offer, surprisingly creating a new thing on the internet. The constant stream of reviews of the most terrible games and movies yesteryear had to offer. No surprise really, there's something innately satisfying about watching the suffering of others, including myself. I'm sure many of you recall how I felt about reviewing Robotix again. And no, I'm not going back there. Stop asking. No stranger to filmmaking, James started his career behind and in front of the camera at a very young age, like a certain other filmmaker who only made it bigger. But that never stopped him. Like James would before him, he persevered and simply just had fun doing his hobby. He sought no real fame out of it, and his film, Deader the Better, is an often overlooked classic that no doubt cemented his ambition for James's latest project, the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. But it only became a pet project after the accidental rise of the angry video game nerd, which really started out as a joke between friends and soon achieved cult status extremely quickly. And yet, for all the lower levels of gaming hell he went through in his career, there was one game the nerd refused to review. He was so intent on it that it became his most demanded review. I mean, here is a guy who lived through the Chainsaw Massacre, completed the first Ghostbuster review to open the poor literacy achievement. He even played the Penn and Teller bus game for hours. And yet here was one game, the one game he refused to review, and one based on one of Hollywood's most successful exports, and eventually it became the plot line for the angry video game nerd movie. And for some reason, I am not surprised. Yes folks, we've reached that point, where it's live or die for me, my actual review of the movie itself. So, here goes. Yep, my review. Man, that corridor looks big. I have to say it, if anyone deserved their own movie as an internet personality, it's the angry video game nerd. But let's put that aside for a moment. This is a dream given form. It's an achievement, make no doubt about that, and it's well deserved of praise, as much as it is criticism. But that's not a bad thing. Man, by saying that I can hear the war drums outside my door. I think it's fair, for the sake of my safety, to get the negative out of the way first, and please stick with the review as it continues, as I can say that, as a fan, the good certainly outweighs its negatives as a film. I think the problem is, a lot of people expected something more mainstream. At least that's the impression a lot of the more negative reviews on IMDb suggest. Also, there's an issue of ego envy. I mean, what audacity to make a film based on yourself. Now that's a mistake, not on James's part, but the people who hated it. It's not a film about James Rolfe, it's a film about the nerd, and it amazes me how many people, as few as they actually are, equate a character reviewer with the characters they portray. Even though Walker has to break character now and again to put his real opinion across, which may have some parallel with the nostalgia critic, but is more of an exaggeration of the true reflection of his inner turmoil with a product. That's not to say the film is a perfect character portrayal of the nerd we've come to love, or hate, depending on your point of view. It tries to be, as we're presented with a character who is more concerned with saving his fans than his reputation. But I can live with that. He has to be the reluctant hero in this, and he plays it well. No, I feel what is missing from this film, which is no fault of his own due to copyright reasons, is, as a fan, I get so used to his interacting with the characters of certain games and their relation to the games on which they're based. I mean, who can forget the time it beat up Bugs Bunny? I wasn't disappointed with the monster at the end as I was with who he really was. Battle Jesus was his most famous supporting character, and I have to agree that would have been a much better end boss than what we got. But hey, even he didn't tone back the character he was playing, so I can understand why he left that on the chopping board. Maybe some boundaries in America are not to be crossed if to be accepted on a national scale. That said, I do want to let it pass, but I can't in the long run. Not to say it wasn't an awesome costume, or an awesome monster, but damn, I feel a little cheated. And that's another issue I had with the film, the lack of established reality, and how out of place I felt the nerd was in this environment. There was a disconnect from the video show to this film, and for a while I had to struggle to put my finger on it. Then it struck me as I was working on my live stage show. This wasn't an angry video game nerd movie. No, really, whilst I could see the E.T. game in the plot, it was perhaps the only thing that made it what it was trying to be, save for that one nod to his character in the video game simulation. It really hit me when I saw it, as I actually still enjoyed the film. But then when you think about it, it's a conspiracy plot with the E.T. game and the nerd shoehorned in. It felt more like a Cinemassacre movie tribute than an actual nerd movie in which I would expect the film to be about, well, games. The odd reference to Top Gun and DDR were nice, but few and far between. But this was not the nerd's established reality. And whilst adding in new to the series is a good thing, and the actors who played the new characters were extremely good, I couldn't help but get the feeling that the nerd was more along for the ride than the actual character of the film, and I have to admit that truly shook me. Oh, it didn't disrupt my enjoyment of the film, don't get me wrong, but it did make me see it from a disconnected perspective that made me, in the long run, as a long-time fan, uncomfortable. And that's the bad. You still here? Good. Now please put those pitchforks and torches down as the good bit is coming. As a fan of Rolf's work, this is an excellent movie. I enjoyed it immensely, even on my revelation. You see, for all its faults and break from established reality, James Rolfe does actually try to create a universe here. The nerd actually does live in this world, and for his own disconnect from reality, it is extremely well presented, from the nerd mantra, nerds before birds. Yeah, like we don't know where that golden rule is building up to. Okay, he doesn't get the girl. That's a twist that was built up out of nothing. Wait. Good things. Your life depends upon it, Raven. Yeah, to his fan base. Well, one could say this is an ego shining through again, but I disagree. The nerd and Rolf do have fans, and James Rolfe appreciates them, as this movie shows. They actually do play a pretty large role in the film, from his motivations to save them from themselves, and ultimately learning it's their obsession that finally frees him from his own demons, to various cameo appearances from his fans, supporters, and friends on the internet community, including some guy with glasses, probably not important. And for all its epicness, this thankfully is not an extended YouTube video. It actually plays as a real movie and a real story, for all its faults, which, as I said before, is more related to the lack of established canon to the nerd universe than actual storytelling. Sure, the prophecy of the Ultimate Gamer, which gets all of 3 seconds of airtime, really comes to nothing, which is a thankful mercy in many ways, as I hate the predictable "you have a destiny" plot, which is way too overused as an unimaginative cliches in films these days, and which was probably the point. But at least you can follow the threads from A to Z, even when it seems a little disjointed. And yes, I still don't know where that came from, but seriously, Rolf, it wasn't even a plot twist. Good things. Oh yes, the special effects are bad. No, wait, that's a good thing, really. They're meant to be bad. What's funny about that is it's not in your face, let's be deliberate about how crappy they are, even though at the same time they are in your face, let's be deliberate about how crappy they are. It just works. I mean, what would you expect from a James Rolfe film? It's just stick, and probably the only thing that has actually got any real establishment since the birth of Cinemassacre. I suppose if there is any consistency in the film, at least it has that going for it. But at the end of the day, does it wrap itself up well? And what does this mean for the nerd afterward? Well, the ending is a satisfactory one, I'll admit. At least we finally get our ET review, which I have to say is a very fair appraisal of the game, focusing more on how it's not actually the worst game ever made, but certainly is one that has its challenges and changed the gaming industry since the bubble burst at the end of the 1980s. Which I won't give too much away, as the review is pretty much the best part of the film. Not putting down the rest of the film by any means. But it's great to see a door close on a chapter of the nerd's life, and hopefully we'll see an evolution in the character that brings a fresh new perspective to his perspective on games. Maybe he'll be a nicer, calmer video game nerd with a healthy dose of commentary to add to the world of internet reviewing. Let's put that to the test, shall we? I sent him a copy of this review before I uploaded it. I'm sure his opinion has been very constructive.
Now you're playing with fucking shit. You're better off fucking shit than fucking with this fucked up shit. Fuck this shit. You don't know shit about how fucking shitty this fucking shit is. It's so bad it sucks. It's so fucking suck it fucks.
Yeah, coming from Rolf, that's high praise indeed. Till next time, ciao.